The morning was quiet, the kind that holds its breath before something changes forever. The city shimmered beneath the early sun, but inside the towering glass building of Ardent Enterprises, the air was sharp with tension. The CEO, Ethan Miles, a man known for his ruthless business sense and iron discipline, was preparing to fire another employee who'd missed an important presentation, for the third time. The papers were ready, the HR manager was waiting, and the clock struck 9. But instead of the trembling young mother who was supposed to walk through those doors, the office door creaked open to reveal a little girl, no older than 7, clutching a tattered backpack and a lunchbox. She stood there, small and silent, her eyes wide with both fear and determination. Her shoes were scuffed, her hair tied in uneven pigtails, and her dress, though clean, was too thin for the cold air-conditioned room. For a moment, the entire office froze. Ethan looked up from his desk, frowning. The girl took a deep breath and said softly, "Mom's sick, so I came instead." "Before we go on, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love to change lives, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us bring you more stories that remind the world, there's still good out there." Ethan Miles wasn't used to surprises. He'd built his empire by controlling everything: numbers, outcomes, people. But nothing in his perfectly ordered life prepared him for a child standing in his office, speaking with such innocent courage. The HR manager stammered, unsure what to do, but the girl continued. "My name is Lily. My mom, she works here. She was supposed to show you her project today, but she can't get up. She said we need this job." Ethan blinked, confusion and irritation flickering behind his calm mask. "What's your mother's name?" he asked finally, his tone sharper than he intended. "Grace Thompson," Lily replied instantly, her small fingers tightening around her lunchbox. Grace Thompson, one of the company's junior designers, known for her quiet diligence and late nights. He remembered her vaguely, mostly as a file he'd nearly signed to terminate last month for declining performance. The CEO leaned back in his chair, studying the little girl. "And why did you come here, Lily?" he asked, his voice softer now. She hesitated, glancing at the polished floor before whispering, "Because Mom said, you never get a second chance with people like you. So, I wanted to ask you myself, please don't take her job." That sentence hit him harder than he expected. Something about the way she said it, simple, honest, fearless, stirred a memory he thought he'd buried long ago. He'd once been a child, too, standing outside a hospital room, hearing his mother beg for mercy from her boss because she'd missed work to care for him. That boss hadn't cared. He'd fired her without hesitation. That moment had taught Ethan that the world was cold and only strength survived. But looking at Lily now, standing in his office with trembling hands and eyes full of hope, he felt something crack open inside him. He dismissed the HR manager and told Lily to sit down. She climbed onto the chair opposite his desk, her feet not reaching the floor. From her backpack, she pulled out a folder filled with crayon sketches and colored papers. "Mom said she was going to show you designs for the company's new ad. She said it had to be perfect. I helped her color some parts." Ethan reached for the papers, expecting childish scribbles, but what he saw made him pause. The sketches were simple yet full of life, depicting everyday people wearing the company's products, not models, but workers, mothers, children, ordinary faces that reflected warmth and reality. And among them was a drawing clearly made by Lily. A woman and a little girl holding hands, standing beneath a shining logo that read, "Ardent, made for those who care." For the first time in years, Ethan felt something stir, something more powerful than ambition. He looked up to see Lily's hopeful gaze fixed on him. "Did we do okay?" she asked, her small voice trembling. Ethan couldn't find his words. He just nodded slowly, his throat tight. He called his assistant and asked for Grace Thompson's address. Lily immediately panicked, thinking he was going to fire her mom. "Please don't be mad at her," she pleaded. She didn't mean to miss work. She just got sick. She works so hard, sometimes she forgets to eat. I tried to make soup, but it burned. Ethan knelt beside her chair, something no one in his company had ever seen him do. Lily, he said softly, I'm not mad at your mom. I just want to make sure she's okay. That afternoon, for the first time in his career, Ethan Miles left the office without a single meeting. He drove through the quieter part of town, guided by Lily's directions, until they stopped outside a small apartment building with peeling paint and a broken elevator. Inside, Grace Thompson lay pale and weak on a couch, coughing softly. When she saw her daughter walk in with the CEO of the company, she tried to sit up, fear flashing in her eyes. I'm so sorry, Mr. Miles, she stammered, her voice hoarse. I didn't mean to miss the meeting. I'll finish everything tonight, I promise. But Ethan stopped her. Don't, he said quietly. You don't have to apologize. He looked around the tiny apartment, the half-finished drawings on the table, the cold soup on the stove, the stack of unpaid bills on the counter. Then his eyes fell on Lily's small shoes by the door, neatly placed beside her mother's worn-out heels. Something inside him shifted completely. He arranged for a doctor to visit that evening and made sure Grace had the medication she needed. When she tried to refuse, saying she couldn't afford it, he simply said, consider it an investment, in talent worth keeping. Over the next few days, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about them. Grace's quiet resilience, Lily's bravery, it all stayed with him. He found himself reviewing her project again and again, realizing it wasn't just good, it was brilliant. It had heart. And heart was something his company had been missing for a long time. When Grace recovered enough to return to work, she found her desk covered with fresh art supplies and a note that read, "Welcome back, Ms. Thompson. Let's create something beautiful together." From that day on, she was given the freedom to lead her own design team. Her ideas began shaping the new direction of the company, campaigns that focused not on profit, but on people. Sales soared, but more importantly, Ethan noticed something change in himself. He started walking through the office not just as a boss, but as someone who listened. Every now and then, Lily would visit after school. She'd draw in the corner of her mom's office, waving shyly when Ethan passed by. One afternoon, she came up to him holding a new drawing. It showed him, standing beside her and her mom, all three smiling. Underneath, she'd written, "Thank you for caring." He framed that drawing and kept it in his office, not as decoration, but as a reminder. A reminder that behind every file, every employee, every name, there's a life, a story, a reason to be kind. Months passed, and Grace's campaign, titled "Made for Those Who Care," became a national success. Interviews and features poured in, and the company was praised for its authenticity. During a televised award ceremony, Grace was invited to speak. Standing at the podium, her voice trembled as she said, "This award isn't just for me. It's for my daughter, who taught me never to give up. And for someone who chose compassion over power when it mattered most." The camera panned to Ethan, sitting in the audience, his eyes glistening with emotion. For the first time in his life, he didn't hide it. After the event, as they stood backstage, Lily ran to him and hugged him tightly. "You're a good person, Mr. Miles," she whispered. He smiled and said, "I'm trying to be, Lily. I'm trying." Years later, when Grace opened her own design firm, Ethan was her first investor. Their bond had grown beyond work, it was built on trust, gratitude, and the lesson that one act of kindness can rewrite someone's entire story. Ethan Miles never forgot the day a little girl walked into his office and changed everything. He often told the story to young interns and employees, reminding them that leadership isn't about titles or wealth, it's about the choices we make when no one expects us to care. So, the next time someone tells you that kindness is weakness, remember this: sometimes, all it takes is a single act of compassion to turn a heart of stone into a source of light. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more true-to-life stories that inspire hope and remind the world that kindness still matters. Before we end, tell us in the comments below, what would you have done if a little girl walked into your office with courage like Lily's? Because sometimes, the smallest voices speak the biggest truths, and the world changes when someone decides to listen.